Okay, morning guys. Today we are going to write the problem part of our story. Okay, so I will show you the toolkits in a minute, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm looking for sentences that are punctuated correctly. I'm looking for time connectives, and I'm looking for conjunctions when joining sentences together, so and, but, or, because, and then letters the correct size and the correct formation. So here is our toolkit that we created, and we're focusing on the problem bit. So we've got years later in the autumn day, and then we had our new character, which was Grandma, so some granny. So Granny came and said that she used to build things. Okay, so because she's a pirate, she used to build ships, but she really, really, really wanted to fly. Pirate Pete, which is the name of my character now, had an idea. He didn't go to sleep and he worked all day and through to the next night. And he created a flying ship. Now, I've changed that flying ship ever so slightly, but we'll talk about that in a minute. He created a flying ship. He took it out to see if it would fly. He switched the switch and it flew for a second, but then it crashed to the ground. Granny laughed and laughed and laughed. Pirate Pete said, "No, I will not be a great engineer." But the granny gave him a hug. He shouted, "Hooray!" The first one flew. So we've actually got a bit of speech in here. We haven't talked very much about speech before. But I just want to we might have a look at that today. We don't need to worry about that. So here is our... Don't need that line because we're not doing a title anymore. So remember, I want you to leave a line in between each section. And we're going to have a go at writing the problem. So we're going to start with years later. Okay, so capital Y, years later. Now, L is a tall letter and T is a tall letter, but E and R are not. So I want to see the difference in the size of these letters. So years later, and we've done it in class now, so I've got Granny Grimble came to stay. Came, split digraph, A sound. Came to... Now stay is another A sound. It's the end of the word, so it has to be AY. Came to stay. Full stop. Okay? So years later, Granny Grimble came to stay. What did she do? She told stories of ships. She liked of building ships. Now, build is a funny word, so B-U-I-L-D. I'm not expecting you to be able to spell that word. She told stories of building. There's our ing verb, year twos. Building ships. When she was young. When she was W-A-S, young. Yeah, it's a bit of a funny word again, so I'm just going to write it. I'm not worried about two spelling. So years later, Granny Grimble came to stay. She told stories of building ships when she was young. But she had a dream. So I'm actually going to put the but in here. So I'm going to change that full stop to but. But she dreamed, ed ending, of flying. Fly has the I sound at the end with Y, and then we add the ing. So flying. Full stop. Okay? I'm going to do one more sentence, and then I'm going to let you carry on. Okay? So, Pirate Pete. Capital letter for the name, but also the start of the sentence. So, Pirate Pete had an idea. Had. Now let's put an adjective in here as well. Had an amazing idea. And even on my story map, I put a exclamation mark, so I'm going to put an exclamation mark there as well. And then we carry on. So all I want you to do today is the problem part of it. So if I look here, going back, I forgot to do this to begin with, but you've got time connectives, I've got years later, so I can tick that. Adjectives for description, well, I've just got amazing, so I can tick that. All sentences have capital letters and full stops. Well, this is the intro. This is the bit where you have to go back and really check. So I've got capital letter for years. Years later, Granny Grimble is a capital letter because it's a name, came to stay, and there's my full stop. She told stories of building ships when she was young, but, join two sentences together with different conjunctions, year 2. She dreamed of flying, there's my full stop. Pirate Pete had an amazing idea. So the only thing I haven't done is used and yet, but I can do that later on. And you're going all the way up to the bit where he built his invention, we switched the switch, it flew for a second, but then it crashed. And then your character, so my Granny Grimble, laughed and laughed and laughed, but gave him a hug and said, well, actually, it worked. Your first flop flew. And that's where I want you to get to today. And then tomorrow, we're gonna finish the resolution and the ending, because actually that's quite quick and not much has changed in that. We decided in class that we weren't going to change the ending at all, so we're going to keep the ending exactly the same. So I know some of you might have put an extra ending in on your plan on Monday, but we've decided to ignore that box so you don't have to do it. Okay, so come back tomorrow for the last part of the story.